Hey guys, and welcome back to That Was History, a place chock full of history goodness and fun facts. I'm Langston, and today we're going to take a look at a new segment we like to call History Rewrite. In summary, History Rewrite is where we take a topic from history and analyze how it could have been different. Perhaps it'll be that a battle ended differently. Maybe it'll be that a famous leader was not assassinated. You'll just have to stay tuned in the future to find out. Just like with our History Deja Vu segment, we want you to engage with us. Don't be afraid to leave comments on your opinions of how the topic could have been different, because when we are speculating about a topic's alternate ending, we will never be 100% correct. In reality, it didn't happen that way, so we will never be able to confirm our ideas. It's just fun to think about. So start brainstorming, because today's question for History Rewrite is, what if the South had won the American Civil War? What would be different if the South, also known as the Confederates, had defeated the Union forces from the North and officially won the American Civil War? This question has a countless number of possibilities, so before I jump into my thoughts, please note that my assumptions will probably differ from yours, but that doesn't mean that I'm completely right or completely wrong. It's all fun speculation and assumption. Now that my disclaimer is out of the way, let's begin. I think that the most obvious change would be that the region we now know as the United States of America would have been split into at least two different sections. Obviously, the American states in the North and the Confederate states in the South. It would most likely operate in a similar fashion as the current-day Sudan and South Sudan situation. In case you are not familiar with the Sudan reference, these two countries rely heavily on one another to make their oil industry work efficiently. South Sudan holds the oil reserves, but Sudan has the pipeline that runs that oil up to the port in Sudan to be shipped out to various buyers. Sounds like an okay plan, but as you can imagine, each country has used their sections of the overall process as a blackmailing agent in the past. They threaten to cut the other country off if they have a disagreement. Unfortunately, not cooperating harms both countries, and I think this scenario would be similar in North America. The North and South would constantly bicker, and trying to maintain enough peace to trade and produce goods for one another would not be possible. It'd be a lot harder than that of a unified country. Something else to think about is that there would be nothing that would prevent further splits from the North or South. Texas is always ready to secede, and others would potentially follow. Before you know it, North America could have been a grid of small individual countries. Try and picture how everything would work if each state were an independent country and there was no federal government. Allowing the South to win and secede might have prevented America from being a major player in the First and Second World War, and the Soviet Union would have been the dominating force if the United States could not compete during the Cold War era. Another note about the Civil War situation is that Abraham Lincoln would probably have lived out the rest of his days and never have been assassinated. Since the South won, John Wilkes Booth would not have had a motive to kill the president. Interesting, isn't it? Lastly, before I close, the possibility of slavery continuing well into the 1900s is definitely there. Personally, I think that slavery would eventually have died out due to modern technology that could do more work than slaves could. I won't say that slavery would have been outlawed everywhere in North America, but it might have just become irrelevant and died out over time. Unfortunately, this means that the fight for equal rights might have been delayed even further down the timeline. I certainly have more ideas that I could discuss with you all, but we might be here all day. I love talking about the what-ifs of history, and if you enjoy it, be sure to leave us a comment about today's topic. Also, be sure to share us around on Facebook and Twitter to get your friends in on the conversation as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.